Hello everyone, it's the Boogeyman, and welcome to the 20th video I'm making about the alien. I'm sure by now you guys are tired of hearing my voice, even mentioning the alien. Well, even I'm tired of hearing my voice talking about the alien. This got so old so fast. But this one is going to be extra spicy, because this whole video is going to be a response to another YouTuber that made a whole video responding to my video. So this is a response to a response. The only reason I'm making this video in the first place is because I felt like his whole video was just a manifestation of the unhinged YouTube comments that were left on my video about the alien. Basically, throughout the video, he's just saying that the power is not overpowered and that I defended made for this. I think that's pretty much all he says. So I'm going to be responding to every single one of the arguments he made regarding my video. And he also was super scared of mentioning my name throughout the whole video. That's why I called myself the Boogeyman. Puffalope. Sorry, did that scare you? I will say his name though. His name is Greyletters. If you guys do want to go watch his video, feel free to. Yeah. Let's get into it.
What's up, guys? It's Chris. Recently, I've been seeing some pretty outlandish takes on the alien in my games and from this video right here that one of my friends sent me. And before we get into all my points and stuff, I want to say right now, I do not think the alien is overpowered whatsoever. He has a little bit of a bug where he has an insane cooldown reduction on hitting a tail, and he could be punished a little bit more for missing, but that's really about it with this killer. Now, I want to address that video that we just pointed out. I've played a ton of games as alien and against the alien since he's come out, and I think he's one of the most fun and well-designed killers in the game. He's super strong.
Stopping this really early, he did play a lot of games as alien. He actually went on a 100-game win streak as the alien. And I think it's funny because when I mentioned that the killer might be too strong, the main argument people had, other than calling me a survivor main of course, is that the killer had only been out for 3 or 4 days, and so it's too early to tell if he's actually too strong because people don't know how to play against him. But apparently it's not too early to go on a 100-game win streak, and this feeds into my argument that the killer is a little bit too easy to play and the counterplay is a little bit non-existent.
Now, I want to go over some things I've been hearing about the alien, and number one is his tail is easy to use. His tail definitely takes some getting used to, and survivors can make it much harder in chase than they'll have you believe. I have seen a ton of survivors not even try to learn the counterplay for the tail and keep getting hit by it and call it OP. It'd be like me running into every single pallet after I've seen a survivor camp every single one and not change up my playstyle at all, and then calling pallets OP. It's almost the definition of insanity at that point. And I'm not saying his tail is not insanely strong, but to argue there's no way to play around it and it's easy to use as if you're supposed to be able to run every killer in the game for 5 gens like they're a ghost face is just nuts to me.
Amongst other arguments, this is the one he latches onto the most, is that good survivors are going to know how to play against the tail. And it's funny because a few hours ago, Scott John just uploaded a video where he's replying to someone that posted to Reddit a counterplay to Xenomorph's tail. And this is what he said in the video.
Right there. That's the first frame of him turning left, right? Okay. Now, let's look at the tail. Let's see the first frame of the tail starting. Oh, it's there. Wow. So it's almost like the Nick Cage is turning before the tail even starts. So the counterplay to Xenomorph's tail is having a negative reaction time where you actually have precognition. It's so easy.
So I guess if you're consistently going against the most gifted human beings that just decided to start playing Dead by Daylight, specifically to counter the Xenomorph, I can see why you'd think that the tail is counterable, but I just simply do not see that as being the case. The problem with Xenomorph's tail is not that it's as strong of an attack as a Nurse Link or a Spirit Phase. It's also not what I said in the video, which at this point feels like you didn't even watch. The thing about Xenomorph's tail is that if you have a ranged attack, you have a wind-up. Now, why does the killer have a wind-up on a ranged attack? In a loop scenario, the only way a survivor can win against a ranged killer is on something called an exchange. When you reach a pallet, you have to decide if you're going to drop the pallet or if you're going to fake drop the pallet and force the killer into the wind-up animation. If you drop the pallet and the killer respects the pallet and winds up, you get hit. You lost the exchange. The killer played better than you. That's why killers like Nemesis, Huntress, even Demogorgon are so different to Xenomorph. Xenomorph does not have to participate in the exchange because Xenomorph does not have a wind-up. So in a loop scenario, there is nothing the survivor can do to possibly win the exchange. If you drop the pallet, the killer already has the wind-up ready, so you always lose that. If you fake drop the pallet, the killer does not get slowed down for winding up the attack or even for missing in that Since if you fake drop the pallet, the killer does not get slowed down for winding up the attack because there is no wind up. He also has the constant pressure of being able to hit you from far away in a lot of loops in the game, and even over a lot of the loops in the game as well. And he's also 4.6 and can also build bloodless. So if you fake drop the pallet and by some miracle he doesn't hit you because it's a very specific loop where he can't hit you, he's still going to be building bloodless and he's eventually going to M1 your ass. My whole argument here, Greyletters, is that this killer is very hazardous to play against. And I can see why you wouldn't see this as a problem if you exclusively play killer, but survivors normally want to feel like they can do something against the killer. They want to feel like they outplayed you, and there is no feeling like you outplayed a xenomorph because there is no counterplay to the xenomorph. I've played both sides. I've played both as and against the xenomorph. Playing xenomorph feels amazing. He's one of the smoothest killers they ever implemented into the game. Everything he does is just so fast and you feel unstoppable. I see why you enjoyed the killer and I see why you went on a 100-game win streak as the killer, but I feel like at the same time you can very glaringly see that the survivors you're going against are really left with no options.
But point number 2 I heard specifically in that video I mentioned earlier is that survivors don't like the counterplay. And that guy argued that he thought the flamethrowers were boring, I guess, and that's fine, but you could make the argument, oh, I don't like Wesker's counterplay with the sprays because spraying yourself is just super boring.
That's fair criticism, actually. And that's just my opinion. I think that if the turrets did work, which they don't, that counterplay would be extremely boring. It's precisely because I like powers that I can play around and not powers that I have to completely get rid of. Precisely because I don't enjoy going against M1 killers. I like the added challenge of having a power that I get to play around.
That guy is also a strong advocate for Made for This, which is another topic entirely, but to say you don't like the flamethrowers and run a gimme chase build every single one of your games, like killers enjoy playing against, that is kind of hilarious to me. I mean, at least you guys get counterplay to this power. What the hell are killers supposed to do about your free rewards for getting injured? Ask you nicely to not use it?
Okay, this is the one that infuriated me the most. Because if you're gonna argue something against someone to try and discredit what they're saying about something, you gotta make sure that what you're saying is correct. It really doesn't take too long to figure out that what you're saying is complete bullshit, and I am not an MFT advocate. My video about Made for This concludes that the perk needs to be nerfed, and guess who completely agrees with what Puffalope said? Oh, sorry about saying my name, didn't mean to scare you. Your Lord and Savior, otzdarva. We completely agreed on everything about Made for This. If you guys watch my video on Made for This and then watch otzdarva's video on the same perk, you're gonna find that we both agreed on literally every single point. My video was just delivered from a survivor POV. I agree, the perk needs to be nerfed, and I'm happy that the biggest Dead by Daylight influencer has the same nerf ideas as I did. That's very healthy. That's hilarious, okay, buddy? That's what's really funny. I guess he just read the comment that I pinned on my video because I thought the comment was so stupid and just figured, yeah, this guy defends Made for This, when the whole reason I pinned his comment is because it's completely incorrect. If there ever was a video where calling someone a survivor or a killer main was actually justifiable, it would be this one. This guy multiple times in the video is just crying that PHR likes survivors so much better than killers, and that at least survivors have something that they can do where the killer suffers so much. You're latching onto conspiracies and arguing that your role is so disfavored and that PHR likes the other role so much better. That's a bad look, man. The us versus them argument is as old as time in Dead by Daylight, and it never gets anyone anywhere.
And this goes back to another point I've made in other videos where behavior keeps making the game easier and easier on survivors with almost every update, with insanely strong maps and perks and even a HUD to tell people in solo queue exactly what is going on at all times. There's even a perk called Windows, which should be renamed to Run to Yellow because that's all survivors have to do with this perk on. And I think the main problem is there are a lot of survivors out there who just want the game to be easy. A new very strong killer just got added into the game that people haven't fully figured out yet and just instantly freak out and call it overpowered because they can't run it for 5 gens. I do want to mention that guy's video one more time. I actually called this. I was watching the video and I called this before he said, I'm sure he loves playing against Singularity because the counterplay is brain dead and you need a fucking degree in physics to be able to play the character. And what do you know? A minute later he said, Singularity is one of my favorite killers to play against. Yeah, because the counterplay takes no thought at all and the killer is takes the most amount of effort in like the entire game.
So here, he either completely misunderstood what I said, and I think that's funny because it's pretty clear what I was trying to say there, or he's purposefully misconstruing what I'm saying to favor his argument. The exact reason I said I like singularity is not because of EMPs, it's actually quite the opposite. I said that singularity, you don't even feel like you have to use the EMPs because you can just play better than the killer and win the chase. And this guy just
You like singularity because EMP is overpowered.
no, brother. I don't like EMPs. I don't really use the EMPs, and that was my whole point. That Alien, you feel like you have to use the turrets, and Singularity, you don't feel like you have to use the EMPs, and that's why I like him.
But this brings up another point I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure a lot of these cries about Alien being OP is that servers just aren't winning against him. But in my opinion, if
Hey, before I talk about your next argument here, you just showed a clip of you running to a window against the alien, right? Why didn't you vault the window there? Maybe it was because the killer has the perma windup, and you know that if you vault the window, you're guaranteed to get hit. That's funny. You got hit for free there. That's pretty crazy. The killer had to put in a lot of effort there. He had to predict that you were gonna vault the window, right? So he wound up the power first, and then you didn't vault the window because you knew he wound up. So he played better than. Nope. He just always has the wind up.
I know there's definitely people out there who only get joy from being able to bully weaker and newer killers, but personally, I just hop on Survivor to vibe because I can legitimately play it one-handed 75% of the game.
Oh my god, Survivor takes no skill. I can play it one-handed, guys. I mean, Greyletters, I'm the king of Rambly videos, okay? I know you don't watch my stuff and you don't want to watch my stuff, but I go on long rambles. But you got me beat, man. This video addressed none of my points. Cried a lot about BHRL liking Survivors more and saying that Survivor takes no skill. And that's the end of the video. Yeah, I mean, great one.
Woof.